Now, we railway modellers are great at putting to use products that aren't designed for use at all on models. Take, for instance, the humble plaster bandage. How many of us use those to create landscapes? And, well, yacht varnish, for instance, we're quite good at putting to use to create rivers, streams, and various other little water features. But when it comes to actually finding products that are designed for use on our models, we just tend to stick to their intended use. We never seem to put them to new uses. Now, take this for instance, it's the Ballast Magic kit from Deluxe Materials. Now, its title is quite obvious, its intent is to ballast your track. But, and this is where railway modellers are quite good at putting products like this to new uses, we're going to show you a few other uses that you can use this product on. It's essentially just a glue, so how many things can you glue with it? Well, first of all, let's kick off with two wagons that we have here. Now, nothing special about these, they're straight from the box, Dapple mineral wagons and a coal wagon. Very plain looking, very basic looking, and the first thing that makes your eye stand to attention when you see these is, well, it's the loads, unfortunately. They're just not that detailed. I mean, you can get away with a bit of weathering and painting on the wagons themselves, but you're never really going to get that load looking realistic. So let's add a little bit of ballast. What we'll do though, let's get this pack opened up and I'll show you how easy it is to glue a load into place. Let's get started. So with everything out of the packet, let's have a look at what you get inside it. Now, this here is the powder itself. It's, well, 125 millilitres. It goes a long way actually because you don't need to use it that strong with whatever you're using to glue. I mean, they recommend for gluing ballast, it's 1 part of glue powder to 7 parts of whatever you're gluing. So you can imagine 7 times this. It's quite a lot of ballast you're going to glue with that. This here is a little 100 millilitre squirty bottle. Now this is only used for applying water over the glue. We'll show you this later on. Very easy to use, very simple, and of course, unlike PVA glue where you need to apply lots of glue to get it to trickle down into your ballast, well, this is a very neat way of just squirting and misting over the top, which means that when you do apply your glue, you're not disturbing any of the ballast on the surface. So it means that your uniform layer of ballast doesn't have any of those little almost river-like formations that you tend to get from where the glue was running off and before it dried. Also very handy inside is this little mixing jug. Now this can be used with the 2 spatulas here just to make sure that your glue and whatever you're mixing to glue down onto your layout or wagon or whatever is mixed in a good way uniformly and ready to use. So let's get started with this mineral wagon. Now, the mineral wagon itself, you can see, has a former load. Now, this can be removed if you want and replaced with a little piece of lightweight polystyrene over which you can put then your real ballast load. But for the purposes of filming, and actually I do this with quite a lot of models, we can just keep it in place there as it is. It's not doing any harm whatsoever, and it'll actually act as a very useful former. So we just need a very, very thin layer of ballast over that, just enough so that we can hide the load underneath, but not enough to overload the wagon or create too much weight. So let's mix the ballast and glue in a proportion of 1 part Ballast Magic to 7 parts ballast in this little cup and sprinkle it over the top. Now, the good thing with Ballast Magic is that they also provide you with this little nozzle top. Now, all you need to do is just twist the top there just to get the Ballast Magic out and twist it back when not in use. And it's important that you do keep this sealed because the glue will over time, well, deteriorate if you don't. So, first things first, I don't need an awful lot of glue, but I need enough just to pour over the top. And well, I'm not doing any precise work in the bottle, so I'm just going to use it as it comes. Just tapping on the edge there to get the glue in. You can see how fine it is. I mean, the product is perfect for getting into all those hard to reach areas. Just see how much we've got there, and you can see we've got the right proportion there of glue to ballast. Return the top on. Now you'll know it's a bit like, this is a bit like making a cake if you're into that sort of thing. You know that you've got all the mixtures and ingredients done when it's just one colour. Actually more like mixing cement. There you have it, ready to use. So pouring this into the wagon, well, very easy, just take your time. Make sure that you don't get too much over the sides. And you can always come back to this later. Now the good thing as well with Ballast Magic is that if you want to remove the glue later on, you can just use some hot water and that will dissolve the glue so that whatever you've glued down can be unglued. Try doing that with PVA once it's been done to a strong mix after a few years. Now this is the bit where if you were using traditional PVA, when it came to glue, you'd be messing around with an eyedropper after this forever, trying to accurately glue in your little areas of ballast that you've missed the first time you passed round. Not so with Ballast Magic. Now all we're doing here is just misting the top of this with water. We don't want to flood it, because if you flood it, well, it's going to take longer to dry. And the good thing with Ballast Magic is it only takes 1 to 2 hours to dry in the first place. So if we respect, as it says in the instructions, it'll be fine. You can see the colour there change instantly. There we have it. Job done. So, the two main ingredients out of the box, one piece of seafoam and the foliage you can see there. Now before you get started, just remove these little remnants of the seed pods. These do tend to accumulate quite a lot around the ends there and don't look realistic, and you need to remove all of those before you start gluing. So, with all of those removed, you can see we've got a basic armature here. If you want to enhance this and change its shape a little bit, you can always take some branches off the other pieces and glue them appropriately. Now let's get started applying the glue. So first things first, a bit of the spray bottle. All I'm going to do is mist this. We don't want to have it absolutely saturated, and this is quite an effective spray bottle, so just go steady with it. So just about 20 centimetres away, a light mist over the armature. We don't want it dripping wet, and you know that when you see the tiny little drops of moisture on each of the extremities of the branches. So with the top nicely misted, this is where the little fine nozzle comes into action. Of course we don't want to use an awful lot of glue on this, minimum amount possible, and because I'm going to be sprinkling this over the armature itself, that's why I've got this little container here underneath, just to catch any of the stray bits of glue which we're bound to have. Make sure there's no waste, and of course you can reuse it afterwards. So just go steady. All you're going to do is mist it over like a fine powder, and you'll notice when it starts to apply, you'll start to get some little white areas there of the glue applying over the ends of the armature. So there's not too much waste underneath, but just go steady with it, because you don't need to use an awful lot of this to glue your foliage into place. Give it a very quick spray of water once again, just to dampen the glue a bit. So we've got the glue to stick to the armature. Now we've got the glue nice, damp and sticky. All we need to do now is just sprinkle over some of our foliage. Now for this one I think I'm going to use the lighter green. I'm just going to snip a small corner out there of the packet, because we don't want to have the whole top opened up. Open it out a bit. Now remember, you don't tend to see leaves growing underneath on the underside of the branches, so you need to sprinkle it from a height onto the top of your armature rather than upside down. Just go steady, because you don't want to apply too much so that it looks completely ridiculous, but at the same time, well, just dampen it again with some more glue and reapply the foliage afterwards. You can see it's quite a vibrant green, so this would be quite suitable for something in sort of spring, very early summer. You can always come back and change the colours a little bit later on. Within 2 hours this will be completely dry, ready to use on your layout, wherever you want to put it. And you can see the trunk there, nice natural colour. Doesn't even really need painting, but if you want to model a specific type of tree with a very dark bark, well, just spray it with a can of brown paint just before you start to apply the glue, of course leaving it to dry. So there you have it, 2 very easy projects that we can all have a go at, and of course will enhance many a layout. Anyway, if you'd like to have a go at doing something like this for yourself, well, get yourself a Ballast Magic kit. Visit www.deluxematerials.com or visit your local stockist. Anyway, many more projects are in store for this, so have a go yourselves.